Third, persecution forces us to inhabit the priority of the eternal. This is the kind of time scale expanse. We see our own life, and what is less important gets relativized because we become part of a much bigger picture. There's a wonderful comic, a Christian comic, and he says, life only makes sense if it is scene one of a much bigger production. I love that line. Life only makes sense if it is scene one of a much bigger production. Persecution forces us to realize that we're only in scene one. There's a bigger production going on. The priority of the eternal impinges upon the life of the Christian, especially if they realize that their own life is coming to an end very soon because of the persecution. Fourthly, we're often forced to concentrate or recover our essential identity as a Christian. That is, one who is in love with Jesus Christ. Lesser identities get burned off. Wang Mingdao, remember, saw himself primarily for 60 years as a great preacher. He saw himself as a great church leader. But in the cell, that all burned off, and he began to see himself purely as a person loved by Jesus Christ. What's your identity? Who do you long to be? Who do you live to be? Well, that may be the wrong way to put it. We don't live to be anything. There's something about the persecuted setting that robs us of the ability to be achievers. And actually, that sets us free to be the person in Christ we are supposed to be, who doesn't need to achieve anything. Achievement, too often, is what we pin our identities to. So persecution ushers us back to the inhabiting and recovery of our deepest and essential identity. We are primarily and most deeply worshippers. Fifthly, we're given the gift of faith or power that we cannot succeed unless God intervenes or comes through for us. Persecution puts us in a situation where if God doesn't come through, we're done for. And that's why it increases faith. It's back to the idea of the desert. There is an amazing verse in Isaiah 43. I will make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. The wild animals will honor me, the jackals and the ostriches, for I give water in the wilderness, rivers in the desert, to give drink to my chosen people, the people whom I formed for myself, so that they might declare my praise. The desert is the place where if we don't get water, we're dead. Our bones will whiten in the sun. In this sense, persecution is like a desert landscape. If you don't receive the intervention of God in the desert, if you don't get that river, you're finished. And persecution creates a kind of absolute and urgent dependence. I remember running a business called Points Across, and it was primarily helping preachers. And I was quite happy to tell them that it's okay to have a terror of preaching. Because if God is not in it, then you really are wasting everyone's time. Doesn't matter how great your material is, how good your style is. If God does not bless your words, it's all useless. And it's good to feel that pressure. That's the kind of pressure that persecution brings. Church leader John Haggai used to say, attempt something so impossible for God that unless God is in it, it will fail. That's the stuff of the desert. So persecution gives us the gift of faith in this dire emergency situation. Without it, you can't even survive. It's a good place to be to see God's work, but no one would wish the circumstances on you. That has to be said.